Welcome into the Pokemon Red Nuzlocke Challenge. I'm Average Siege and we're going to be playing through 18 different games. Today we are starting with Pokemon Red, as we're going to be doing the Pokemon Red Nuzlocke Challenge. And you'll be seeing this face many times throughout this run. But we're going to be doing our 9th attempt at Pokemon Red, and the key part of this challenge is that we cannot reuse any Pokemon as we play through the different games. So we're going to be diving in first with Pokemon Red. Let's try this again. It's going to take me forever to beat this. Are we ever even going to beat it? Who knows? So as I said, we are going to be starting this from the beginning. We have ourself named Siege, and then we have our rival, which I decided to go ahead and name Chat because we are live streaming this on my YouTube and Twitch channels. And then we're going to be picking our starter, where we will first be starting with Squirtle. I tried a few attempts with Bulbasaur, did not go well, so we took Squirtle named Average. Now we officially hit the starting point in the Nuzlocke run, where once you get Pokeballs, that's when the run truly starts. So let's go and get our first encounter. I think the ideal one here is Rattata. We got Pidgey, that's fine. So while we wanted the Rattata, we started with Pidgey, which we went ahead and named Breaded, just like some breaded fried chicken. And then we went into Viridian Forest, where our next encounter was a Weedle, which was expected. We went ahead and named Weedle Balroth. Now with Balroth on the team, we strategically went to Route 2, where we encountered the Rattata, just so we could save the encounter for Route 22. So we went ahead and caught the Rattata, named it Zumi. Now with Zumi, we were able to go to Route 22, where we could get the encounter that we were hoping to get, which was not Rattata. Rattata was a dupe, so we went ahead and got another encounter, where we actually got the Nidoran male that we were hoping for. We named our Nidoran Slip after our mod, Slip Shock, and then it was time to do some training, where we got Average leveled up to 14 in Viridian Forest. We felt like that was finally a good spot that we could go and head to Pewter City. It was time to take on Brock in the Pewter City gym, where the Geodude survived the bubble, so we hit the tackle to finish it off. And then for Brock's Onix, we hit a bubble, which we got lucky with a crit and knocked out the Onix one shot. With a little quick level up for Squirtle, we beat Brock, and our first badge was out of the way. With our first badge out of the way, it was time to do some training, where we leveled up, and we actually got a couple evolutions just from this one fight. First, we have our Weedle evolving. Balroth is no longer a Weedle, and it is now a Kakuna. And with Balroth evolving, we also had Average evolving, which I swapped the logo first in the picture, but Average also evolved from a Squirtle to a Wartortle, so with one fight, as we were leveling up, we managed to get both evolutions. We were now on Route 3, where we got our encounter, which was a Spearow. We decided we didn't want the Spearow because we have Pidgey, let's save it for a future game, and we moved on. It was now time for Mount Moon, where I was really hoping for a Geodude, but we encountered the Zubat. Zubat is again one I want to save for a future game, so that we can eventually get a Crobat. So we're going to move on from Zubat and continue our run. As we made our way through Mount Moon, Slip managed to hit level 16, which led to a great evolution as we're making our way through Mount Moon and building our team, getting the evolutions we need to prepare for all of the upcoming fights, and Slip is going to be a very important team member as we make our way through. Now with 2 Moonstones in our inventory, we decided we might as well go ahead and evolve Slip now, using that Moonstone on Slip the Nidorino to get Slip the Nidoking, which is super important for our run. Now you'd think by attempt 9 I would be better prepared and not make these risky choices, as our Zumi gets down to 1 health. It was a very close call, and Zumi managed to survive, which was super important because Zumi comes up clutch later. Now before we moved on, it was important to me that we continued some training, got some level ups, and we got Balroth evolved here from a Kakuna into a Beedrill. With the team leveled up, it was now time for one of our most important battles up to this point, the rival battle in Cerulean City. With Pidgeotto up first, we did a little back and forth, but Average finished it off with the water gun before Chat moved on to Abra, which Slip was able to easily take down with a Horn Attack. Slip just kept going with the Horn Attacks, took out the Rattata, and then it was time for the Bulbasaur, which again, Slip used Horn Attack, and Slip basically carried us through this whole fight with Chat. We defeated Chat, and it was time to move on. So we moved on to the Nugget Bridge, which we defeated the Rocket at the end. Nugget Bridge was down, and that means that opened up 2 routes for us to get some encounters. It was time for Route 24, where we were hoping our first encounter would be an Abra, which we actually got lucky. It was Abra as the first encounter. We managed to catch it. We named it Cruz. Cruz has been in all the streams, super important. And then there's the next encounter at Route 25, where we found the Oddish, which we were also hoping for, caught it, and named it Justin in memory of our Bulbasaur. Now, at this point, we went and we were fighting the Team Rocket Grunt behind the house that you cut through. I was debating back and forth if we push it with our War Turtle, because I've been putting myself in some questionable positions. We went ahead and went for it. We knocked out the Drowsy. We got lucky, because if we missed, we probably would have been knocked out. We would have lost average, and that would have killed the run. It was on to Route 5, where we got our next encounter, which was a Mankey. We went ahead and named the Mankey Jello, and now at this point we were just team building. We kept pushing through down to Diglett Tunnel, where obviously we were hoping to find a Diglett, which we did. We caught that Diglett, and we named it Rufus, like the naked mole rat from Kim Possible. As we continued our team building, it was time for our Abra named Cruz to evolve into a Kadabra, and then there was only one more evolution to do after that, but we'll talk about that one later. As for the rest of our team, we got a couple more levels here. We had another lucky one fight where both Pokemon leveled up, so we were able to get 2 evolutions. Breaded, our Pidgey, was now evolving into a Pidgeotto. And then Zumi, our Rattata, was now evolving into a Raticate. Both of these Pokemon are going to be very important for some of the upcoming battles. At this point, it was time to head on to the SS and once again, battle chat. We did it this way to make sure we were still good with the level caps, where we started with Zumi against Pidgeotto, where the Hyper Fang was clutch. Again, Zumi hitting the Hyper Fang. This is why I said Zumi was so important for the upcoming battles. Unfortunately, this Hyper Fang had us really close. Again, I'm putting myself in some risky situations, but luckily we can swap to Breaded, pull out a quick attack, and take out this Raticate with ease. Next up was the Kadabra. Kadabra is one of the ones I was most worried about, but luckily Breaded hit the second gust, able to knock out the Kadabra, and it was on to Ivysaur, where I wasn't super worried. We had Cruz the Kadabra, who was able to knock it down with ease thanks to a double confusion. With the SS and done, it was now time to head back to Cerulean City and take on Misty, who had a Staryu, which was no match for Justin. Thanks to Absorb, we were able to knock it out and keep healing ourselves up. And then we're going to use Justin again for the Starmie. Same situation, we just kept hitting Absorb, healing us, knocking out Misty's Pokemon. And with that, we were 2 badges in to our Nuzlocke run and off to a good start. Thanks to Misty, Justin was able to evolve. We got our Justin Oddish into a Justin Gloom, and then it was time to go get another encounter. We went over to Route 9 where we were hoping to get another encounter. I was hoping for a Voltorb so we could teach it Thunderbolt. We would have that for an upcoming rival fight once we get to Lavender Town. And with that Voltorb, which we managed to catch and name Wolf, I felt like we were in a good spot to go take on Surge. Now, the Surge puzzle can be a little tricky, but I didn't think it would be this tricky.
Looks like a bad choice. Oh, another failure. It didn't work. Oh, this failed too. Oh, it's another miss. That had no effect. Whoa, this one missed too! Oops, that's a miss. Yes, it's working!
Just like our Nuzlocke, after 9 attempts, we were able to get through the puzzle to go battle Surge, where we led with Rufus. Rufus was able to hit Dig and take out the Voltorb, hit Dig again on the Pikachu to knock it out, and then it was up to Surge's Raichu, its ace, where it actually took us 2 digs, but we were still able to get through it. Rufus with a clean sweep of Surge just by using Dig. That's why Diglett was so important in the Diglett Tunnel. With Surge out of the way, it was time to head to the Rock Tunnel, and I had no idea what waited ahead for us. With the Rock Tunnel, there's some trainers you have to fight. I had no idea this Pokemaniac would prove so tough, where we were using Justin, who happened to be confused. I was hoping to hit the Absorb, but with the confusion and then the Slowpoke also hitting confusion on top of that, things did not go according to plan as the crit knocked out Justin, and we lost our first Pokemon of the run. Cruz came in and cleaned things up, finishing off the Slowpoke, and at that point I realized it was time to evolve Cruz. So we did it the old-fashioned way. Since I am playing on the original cartridges, I pulled out my Game Boy Color, I pulled out the Game Boy Advance, connected them via link cable, turned our Kadabra over in order to get the actual evolution of Cruz from Kadabra to Alakazam. With the game hooked back up here, we're able to see Alakazam was in the game, level 21, so we have a level 21 Alakazam to help us in our run as we finish up the Rock Tunnel and make our way toward Lavender Town. For the moment, we skipped past Lavender Town where we went to Route 7 to get a new encounter where we came across a Growlithe, which is exactly what we were hoping for. Unfortunately, this one did not go as expected as it used Roar and scared us off. But we did go to Route 8 where we got lucky and found another Growlithe, so we had another shot to catch Growlithe. This one we just went straight for the Great Ball and it was successful. We caught the Growlithe and we named it Zephyr, which was another mod of the channel. We then went into Celadon, where we actually went and bought a Firestone just so we could evolve Zephyr from a Growlithe into an Arcanine. I know it might not be the best case having such a low level Arcanine, but that's what we decided to do for the run. And at this point, it was time to adjust our team and prepare for the rival battle coming up in the Lavender Tower. This is our team. This is the setup we're running. We're starting with Wolf. Level 25 Pidgeotto. It has 2 levels on Wolf. That's okay. That 1 level, though, I think we one-shot it. It probably hits Quick Attack anyway. But there's Gyarados. Thunderbolt, we're the same level. We went first. Oh. Of course it survived. And Dragon Rage. There goes Wolf. There goes Wolf. Now, unfortunately, we did lose Wolf to the Gyarados, but Wolf served its purpose, was able to knock out the Pidgeotto, almost knock out the Gyarados, but put it in a good spot where Zumi could use Quick Attack to finish it off, which then led to the Growlithe that the rival then had, which we used Dig, knock out the Growlithe in one shot. Following that was the Kadabra. Kadabra, we hit Dig. I did not expect this to one-shot, but it was so helpful. And then last was the Ivysaur, where we switched to the Alakazam. Using Confusion was an easy one-shot. And with that, we were past the rival in the Lavender Tower. Unfortunately, we did lose Wolf, but we did move on. Up next was the Rocket Hideout, where it was time to take on Giovanni for the first time. Giovanni focused a lot on ground type, so it led with Onix. So naturally, we led with Average, hoping to make this a clean sweep. Average started with Bubble Beam on the Onix, which did one-shot it. Was on to the next one, which is a Rhyhorn. Again, Bubble Beam. Bubble Beam did pretty good against Rhyhorn, as it was another one-shot. Then the Kangaskhan was a little bit more tough, a little bit of back and forth, as it barely hung on here with 1 health. We had to squeeze in that extra bite, hoping the Rage wouldn't knock us out, and it only did 15 damage, so the bite knocked out Kangaskhan. And with that, Average did a clean sweep, sort of clean, of Giovanni, and it was time to continue into the Lavender Tower. With the Silph Scope in hand, we continued climbing the Lavender Tower, where we got another encounter. This encounter happened to be a Ghastly. We will catch this Ghastly. We are going to name it Techno, and then we will be doing the same evolution path that we did with the Alakazam, so stay tuned for that. We were then at the top of the tower, where we had the ghost blocking the stairs. We were able to use the Silph Scope on this ghost and revealed that it was actually a Marowak all along. This Marowak was no match for the double Bubble Beam from Average. We were able to take out the Marowak, put the ghost to rest, head to the very top of the tower, where we were going to rescue Mr. Fuji. By rescuing Mr. Fuji, we were able to then go back to his house, where he gives us the Poke Flute so that we can get past the Snorlax that was blocking our path. Before we went and faced off against the Snorlax, it was time to use a rare candy on Techno. This would get Techno up to 25, which would allow it to evolve from the Ghastly to the Haunter. With Techno as a Haunter, it was time to bust out the Link Kibble again with the Game Boy Color, the Game Boy Advance, make the trade, and evolve Techno from the Haunter into the Gengar. We got the game hooked back up, and here is Gengar officially in our run with the OT of Siege. With the team looking pretty full, it was time to go and take on Erica in the Celadon gym. This grass-type gym leader shouldn't be too much of a problem, since we have Gengar, who is actually part poison, but since it's Ghost first, it tries to use the Poison Powder. Poison Powder doesn't work on the Poison type. We also taught Gengar Psychic, so Techno was able to use Psychic twice, wipe out the Victory Bell. It was no problem. Then came Tangela, again, using Psychic. It tried to use Wrap, but since we're Ghost, it didn't work. Vileplume, same thing. Tried to use a Poison Powder. We hit Psychic. Down goes Vileplume. Techno came through with a clean sweep of Erica, and it was time to go take on the Snorlax, where we had to use the Poke Flute, wake it up, and go into this battle with Snorlax, where we actually decided not to catch the Snorlax. We're going to skip this Snorlax, maybe use it for a different run, but for now, no Snorlax in Pokemon Red. From there, we made our way down to Fuchsia City, where we were in the Safari Zone. Our one Safari Zone encounter ended up just being a Nidoran female, which was not ideal, so we moved on. We moved on to Saffron City, where we actually went to the dojo first. I decided it was time to either take Hitmonlee or Hitmonchan. Using Gengar, easy sweep, just using Psychic. They couldn't hit us with their normal and fighting moves. Psychic being super effective, we were able to knock out the Hitmonchan. We actually went and picked Hitmonlee. We decided to use the Hitmonlee for our run, and we named it Barley. Barley was going to be an important part of this run all the way up through the end. The next order of business was to again take out Team Rocket, this time in Saffron. We made our way through, where we actually came across a scientist, and this fight did not go as I expected. Love you, Slip. So Self-destruct. I was hoping to use Earthquake. With the loss of Slip and the graveyard growing, we decided it was time to do some more leveling. We evolved our average War Turtle into a Blastoise. We got the big chunky Gen 1 Blastoise to help our run. Then came one of the biggest questions I have about Pokemon and the way they name their moves. Why in the world is there a move called Double Slap that does not hit just twice? It is called Double Slap. Double Slap that, again, doesn't hit twice. And it's going to crit every time. Stop. Stop. No shot. Double Slap 5 times. Oh my gosh. And again, as the graveyard grows, we need to evolve our Pokemon, make sure they're well equipped, well leveled as we continue the run, because these levels are becoming more and more important. This time, Breaded evolved from a Pidgeotto to a Pidgeot. We talked about these levels being important because now it was time for a rival battle. We again have to battle Chat, so we had to make sure our team was prepared. This time they started with Pidgeot. We led with Average, who now has Ice Beam. 2 Ice Beams, was able to take down Pidgeot, especially with the crit. Gyarados hitting the Dragon Rage just was very risky, sticking it out, hoping Ice Beam would hit. The Ice Beam hit, averaged on to 41 health, but we pulled off a freeze. By freezing it solid, we were able to switch to Techno, spam some Psychics, take down the Gyarados, keep battling with the Growlithe, where we sent Average back out. Again, a risky play, only at 41 health, but using the Surf, we were hoping to one-shot the Growlithe, which it did do. Growlithe was down in just one shot. Next up, the rival had Alakazam. Alakazam versus Alakazam, ours being 3 levels higher using Psychic. We were able to take it down. That Alakazam was down. That was the scariest one to face. Venusaur is never a problem. Between Cruz, Techno, both having Psychic, Venusaur was down, Chat was defeated, and then it was time to finish off the Team Rocket leader, Giovanni. We have another battle here with Giovanni. This time we led with Techno because Giovanni was leading with Nidorino. We just hit Psychic, easily took out the Nidorino, one shot. Next came Kangaskhan. We again led with Techno being Ghost type. Normal moves didn't work. Able to use Psychic, knock it out. The Rhyhorn, we decided to swap over to Average. Average hitting the Surf. We were able to take down the Rhyhorn. And then lastly, it was time for the Nidoqueen, which we again used Surf. Surf did pretty good damage in that it did knock out the Nidoqueen in the single shot. With that, Nidoqueen was down, Giovanni was defeated, and it was time to move on and get the Master Ball, which is going to be very important later. Now we made our way back to Fuchsia, where we were actually going to take on Koga, and I was starting to question why there's a Hypno, which is a Psychic type, in a Poison Gym, and I'm really starting to grow to not like Hypno. In this case, Average was confused and poisoned, hit itself in confusion, the poison does damage, Hypno goes and hits the Psychic, which unfortunately does take out Average. That was just not the play. Now it was time to actually go and take on Koga. Koga being the Poison Gym leader, we decided to go ahead and lead with Techno, hoping we can kind of do the same thing we did with Erica, where we can just use Techno. Having Techno use Psychic, we were able to take down the Coughing. Coughing's down in one hit with a crit. The Muck survived the first Psychic, so we used a Nightshade to conserve some of our Psychic moves. Then it was Coughing again, another Psychic, easily taking down this Coughing. And then lastly was the Wheezing, which we again led with Psychic. This one actually survived the Psychic, but then it helped us out by using Self-Destruct, with Techno being Ghost type. Didn't affect us, it was no problem. Wheezing was down, Koga was defeated, and another badge was obtained. Now at this point, I was starting to worry about our team not having a water type, so I had the idea that we would fly over to Vermilion City. We didn't have our encounter yet, so we would go and use the Super Rod in this water here. There was a 50% chance to pull up the one Pokemon that we were hoping for. And with that bite, our encounter was the exact one that I wanted all along. It was Shelder. We managed to catch the Shelder, and at this point, Todd was born. Todd's going to be super important. Todd even has its own emote. And at this point, we used Todd with Surf to go and reach the Power Plant. The Power Plant is super important, as I referenced earlier with the Master Ball. We were going to go and battle these Zapdos. We did want to use the Master Ball on the Zapdos to have on our Electric type. We couldn't use it yet because it was level 50. It was above the level cap, but we still caught the Zapdos, named it Gorgoloth, and we had our Zapdos and our Electric type for later on in the run. Now we're going to head back to Saffron City, where we're actually going to go and battle this gym. This gym leader is Sabrina, who is a psychic type. I was a little bit concerned going into this, but we decided to go ahead and lead with Cruz. Cruz having the Tri-Attack being a physical move. I was hoping it would do pretty good. With a couple Tri-Attacks on Kadabra, we were able to take it down, no problem. Next up, Sabrina was sending out Mr. Mime. Again, we just kept using Tri-Attacks with our Alakazam. Alakazam having Tri-Attack was proving to be super helpful. Then the Venomoth was an easy psychic. It's poison, no problem there. The Alakazam, we went a little bit of back and forth, used Techno to finish it off with psychic, and with that, Sabrina was defeated, or at least so I thought. As we were making our way to Cinnabar Island, my computer actually crashed at this point. We still had the stream up, but whenever we got back into the game, Sabrina was not defeated. We had saved right in front of her. So again, we took out the Kadabra, we took out the Mr. Mime, just using Alakazam as we did before, and then Alakazam one-shot the Venomoth. Felt like we were in a pretty good spot. This Alakazam, however, proved to be a lot more tough the second time. The Mega Drain pulled it off. Techno barely survived to beat the Alakazam, so Sabrina had been defeated for the second time. Now it was time to actually make our way to Cinnabar Island, where once we got to Cinnabar Island, we went into the Cinnabar Mansion, where it was time for another encounter. This encounter was actually a Ponyta. I know you might be wondering, why would we get Ponyta when we had Growlithe and Arcanine already? But we caught it, named it Spirit. Arcanine and Growlithe aren't going to be super helpful. Spirit was a higher level, so we went with it. With Spirit added to the team, we decided it was time to use the Water Stone on Shellder. It was time to evolve Todd from a Shellder to a Cloyster. Cloyster was going to be needed if we were going to prepare for Blaine, so it was time to evolve it, get some more levels, and prepare for the fight against Blaine. It was now time to head into the gym. We went to face Blaine. This fight went a little bit different than I was expecting, but with Blaine being a fire type, we of course led with Todd. Now, Todd being our water type, we did lead using Surf. Surf did pull off a one-shot here on the Ponyta. Ponyta was down, where then Blaine pulled out a Rapidash. Blaine actually used the Super Potion before we even hit it, but again, Todd used Surf. This knocked out the Rapidash in one shot, so Blaine was trying to prepare. And then lastly, Blaine had this Arcanine, where things did not go as expected. The Fire Blast from the Arcanine hit just a little bit harder than I was prepared for. That's what I was worried about. Not very effective. God dang it. That is why our Todd emote does have the halo, but we switched over to Techno. Techno was able to finish off the Arcanine with Psychic, and with that, Blaine had been defeated, but we lost Todd along the way. Now at this point, our team was again short a water-type Pokemon, so we used the fossil that we got back at the beginning and revived the Kabuto. We took this Kabuto, named it Roman, which was a name requested by Slip, and with that we had another water-type to add to the team. Now using Roman, we went back to the Cinnabar Mansion to do some training, some level up. We got Roman up to level 40, we were able to evolve our Kabuto into a Kabutops. With the team finally coming together, it was time to head back to Viridian City, where we can go and take on the 8th gym, where the gym leader is Giovanni. So we must once again face off against Giovanni, this time focusing more on his ground types. This is why it was so important for us to get Roman and evolve it. Roman using Surf here on the Dugtrio, which again, it seems like a lot of my moves end up one-shotting the opponents. We one-shot the Dugtrio, we then have the Nidoqueen, where Roman again used Surf, and again we got another one-shot. Giovanni then pulled out a Nidoking, which actually took 2 hits on the Nidoking. We took a little Horn attack here, but not very effective, so Surf was able to finish off this Nidoking. Next up was the Rhydon, where we actually decided to switch to Techno. Techno had Mega Drain, which proved to be super effective. It one-shot the Rhydon here. I was worried about Fissure, so we went with Techno, hoping the Mega Drain would hit, and it did. And with that, we got the 8th gym badge. I felt like we were in a really good spot. And just to get some extra XP with our Pokemon, we went back to the Seafoam Islands, where we went and actually battled Articuno. I wasn't catching it. I limited myself to 1 legendary per game. So we sent out the Zapdos in order to take down this Articuno using Thunder, which actually took out Articuno in one shot. I was surprised the Thunder hit, and then not only did it hit, but it actually knocked it out. Super effective. Articuno fainted, but only 1500 XP. Now, before we could get to Victory Road, there is one more rival fight. I felt like I was pretty prepared, but again, we got ourselves in a situation that did not go as planned, and this is how it all turned out. Gorgoloth making quick work of the Pidgeot using Thunder Shock here to have the higher accuracy. We then went with Roman against the Rhyhorn, where Surf came through clutch. This is why we needed the water type. Surf does knock out the Rhyhorn in one shot. Next up was the Gyarados, where I went with Gorgoloth. Thunder Shock did exactly what I was hoping for. This is why we needed the electric type. Then came Growlithe, which we switched back to Roman. Again, Surf, we're kind of alternating between these two, but Growlithe does get knocked out. Then came the Alakazam, and this is where I put myself in a bad spot. Alakazam's always the one that has me most worried. Okay, did almost 50. Come on, Paralyze with Thunder Shock. Paralyze with Thunder Shock. That would be great. That did not hit as hard as I had hoped. Alright, Psybeam will do a little less. Or it'll crit! You've got to be kidding me! Well, that's going to really hurt the entire run. After losing Gorgoloth, we went back to our Alakazam against Chat's Alakazam, where we hit the Tri-Attack, regretting my decisions with the Gorgoloth fight. But then Chat led with the Venusaur, which, again, Venusaur is no problem. Psychic, we knock it out. Chat's defeated. And with Gorgoloth gone, it was time to prepare for Victory Road. Having reached Victory Road, this means it was time for a new encounter. However, this encounter ended up being an Onix. We decided against it. We ended up just knocking out the Onix and continuing all the way through Victory Road. At this point, we reached the end of Victory Road. It was time to heal up, get our team trained up, and prepare for the Elite Four, which was going to be a tough test. Having completed the trainings, here's our team. We had Techno at level 62, Roman 62, Barley 62, Breaded 62, Crew 62, Spirit 62. Our team was ready to go. Gorgoloth can't be here with us, but Gorgoloth is here. Lorelei of the Elite Four. We have the advantage that we are a little bit of a higher level because we're coming in at Lance's Ace level, which is 62. I felt that was fair. We're not coming in at the rival's top level, but we're also not going to be under-leveled when we get there. With the fight against Lorelei underway, we led with Techno. Techno actually had Thunder. We went back and got the TM just for that so we could wipe out the Dugong. Next up was the wannabe Todd Cloyster, where again we used Thunder. Rip Todd, we will always miss you. And then next was the Slowbro. Again, Techno just using Thunder, making quick work of Lorelei. Proved to be a lot more effective than I expected. Techno against Jinx was a little bit more tough. Jinx here hit an Ice Punch, which was crit. And Techno finished it off with the Psychic. That way we could take out the Jinx and continue the battle against Lorelei. Lorelei then switched to the Lapras, which Mega Drain. We needed to heal up a little bit. Lapras being part ice, it wasn't super effective as I thought, but it was still super effective according to the game. However, with the Confuse Ray, we swapped over to Cruise, finished it off with Psychic, and with that, Lorelei was defeated, Lapras was down, and it was on to the next Elite Four member. Next up for the Elite Four was Bruno. Bruno I wasn't too worried about, probably the one I was least worried about out of all four of them, because we had Techno, we had Cruise, we had our Psychic types, we had our Ghost type, which means Bruno probably couldn't hit us with some of his Pokemon, so going into this fight, I was not super worried. Bruno led with Onix, which we used Roman, because we hit Surf. I was like, oh, it's a Rock type, we're going to prepare using Roman first, then with him sending out Hitmonchan, we swapped over to Techno, and this is where things got a little bit easier. Techno using Psychic, knocked out Hitmonchan, no problem. Then he led with the Hitmonlee, which, again, Psychic, not a problem. Techno just doing quick work with all these fighting types. Then came another Onix, so we swapped back over to Roman. Roman, again using Surf, was able to knock down Onix, and this brought Bruno to his last Pokemon, his ace, which was Machamp. So we went to Cruise instead of Techno. We went with Cruise to use Psychic. Psychic did knock out the Machamp in one shot, and with that, Bruno was down. That is 2 members of the Elite Four defeated, and we were making good progress. With that, it was now on to Elite Four member number 3, which was Agatha. Agatha, even though it says she's more Ghost type, in Gen 1, it's more of a Poison type Elite Four member. So it was another situation where I felt like we were in a good spot with Techno being Ghost Poison. They were going to try to use some Poison, but also Techno having Psychic was going to make this a bit easier. We actually decided to lead with Cruise first against her Gengar, which this is why I was so worried about Alakazam previously, because this Alakazam just one-shot that Gengar, and we were running into situations with ours. Then was Golbat. Cruise again, making quick work using Psychic. Then came Haunter. Cruise is just making this all about him, using Psychic again, knocking out the Haunter, which then she sent out Arbok. This is where I mean she's more Poison than Ghost. Arbok again, Psychic. There goes Arbok. And all these ghost types that she does have, like Gengar here, also part poison. So Cruz was again hitting Psychic, made it an easy clean sweep of Agatha. She might as well not have even touched us because Cruz was still at full health. Agatha was defeated. That's 3 members down, 1 more to go. It was now time to face off against Lance. Lance being the dragon type master that he is. I was a little bit more worried about this one, but Cruz gave me some tips in the Discord, just trying to help me out. I kind of knew what I was going to do anyway, but it was time to go and take on Lance. That hair. As Gyarados comes down to hitting this thunder. Crap! That's what we were worried about. Okay, Hydro Pump wasn't too bad. It only did 48. We can live with that. We can live with that. Alright. Whoa. So after some concern with the Gyarados, it was time for the Dragonair. Techno used a couple Psychics. Dragonair used Agility in between. Didn't make a difference. Then it was another Dragonair. Kind of the same thing. Double Psychic. Down goes Dragonair. Then Lance sent out Aerodactyl. So we swapped to Roman. Roman came through with a little Surf. Able to take down the Aerodactyl, no problem. Then Lance went to the Dragonite. This is Dragonite. I was concerned. We went back to Techno, hoping to use Thunder. I was thinking Dragonite being Dragon Flying, it would be super effective. It was actually not very effective, but it did paralyze the Dragonite, which was really nice to see. We used Psychic, and then the paralyzation ended up not even mattering because Cruz finished it off here with the Psychic. And with that, Lance was defeated. All 4 Elite Four members were down, and it was time to take on the champion. It's time to face chat. This is for all the marbles. You know what that means. The most powerful trainer in the world. Oh, the music. Level 61 Pidgeot. Thunder. We hit, and we KO. There we go. Alright, Alakazam. We swap to our Alakazam. Your Psybeam. We have Tri-Attack. Because your physical defense is bad. Oh, there's your physical defense right there. I can do that too. I also gained armor. You went for Psychic. I see, I see. Tri-Attack. Yeah! A little bit. Because then I'm going to hit a Recover right here. You going to hit a Recover too and copy me? Nope, you went for the Psychic. I'm going to go for a Psychic. Oh, barely. Ah, but I lowered his special, so that helps. Psychic. Alakazam is down. Alright, there's Rhydon. I'm going to go for Roman and hit Surf. You said use Techno. Or Cruz. Or Barley. But I'm going to Surf. And that's why we went for Surf. There we go, there we go. Gyarados is back. There's Hydro Pump again. Thunder. Yes, it hit. Yes. One shot crit the Gyarados. And Techno leveled up to 64. There we go, there we go. Here comes Venusaur. Oh, nope, Arcanine first. Forgot about Arcanine. Arcanine, let's see. Let's use Roman. Let's use Roman. Leer. Surf. Barley for the memes. Oh, it survived. No, Surf didn't one shot. No, the full restore. We're going for Hydro Pump. Oh no, we missed. There's Takedown. Let's hit with the recoil. There's the Hydro Pump. Barley's along for the ride, so is Spirit and Breaded. We're 3 men in this entire Elite Four. I did not think Kabutops would be so clutch. Here's Venusaur. Use Barley. It's 3 levels higher than Barley. It's getting Solar Beam ready. High jump kick. Yeah. It actually crit and did half. We sacked Barley. Needed to be done. I'm gonna let Breaded finish this off. Had to kill off one more. There we go. Breaded finished it off. We lost Barley in the process, but there we go. Could have used Spirit too instead of Breaded, but either way. And with that, even messing around at the end, we did become league champion. The graveyard ended up being 8 as we lost Barley in that last fight. But here is our Hall of Fame. Very Gen 1 of us. Techno, the Gengar. Level 64. There's Cruz, the Alakazam. Level 63. Barley, the Hitmonlee. Rip Barley. Rip Barley. And there's the Breaded, the Pidgeot. Normal flying, level 62. Roman, the Kabutops. Rock Water. Level 63. It's this slow. Spirit, level 62, the Rapidash. Fire type. And me, Siege. Almost 29 hours. Pokedex rating. Good, you're trying hard. Get an item finder from my aid. I don't need it. We finished the game. Why would I do that? Hi YouTube, we did it. With that, the champion was done, but there was still one more thing I wanted to do. We went to Cerulean Cave, where we actually got an encounter. I wasn't planning to do this, but we found a Ditto. So we went ahead and caught the Ditto, level 65, named it Champ 1, because we beat the first game. But then the final piece of the puzzle was to go and fight Mewtwo. The legendary Rhydon. Who thought? Who would have thought? The legendary Rhydon. Level 70. Alright, Spirit. Rev up those fire spins. Rev up those fire spins. Rev up those fire spins. Man, so effective. Oh gosh, man. What would we have done without fire spin? Oh, went for barrier. We hit the fire blast. Pog. We're doing it. Barrier again. It's scared of us. It's scared of Spirit. Spirit's gonna clutch this. Look at that crit. Oh no, Swift. No, Spirit. No. Baroff's just here to say hi. Baroff's just there to say hi. Baroff's just like, hi, and then leaves. Stop. Ah, you actually crit breaded. I was going to hit a quick attack. Dang. Dang. Oh, yeah, Cruz, we gotta switch turn. We gotta. Nah. Zephyr, we're already done. We already technically won. We beat the champion. Plus, by the time we get Cruz out there, we'll just spam recover and it'll be fine. Slash. Oh, there's the barrier. There's the barrier. Slash gonna hardly do anything now. Man. Mega kick. Yeah. Dang it. Hit the mega kick. Look, it's spamming recover too. Hit the mega kick. Thank you. That's what I wanted. Oh, that did nothing. That did nothing. That's right. Slash hits those crits. Slash hits those crits. Man, Roman just took out a Mewtwo. And with Mewtwo gone, the challenge is officially over. We lost a couple in that fight, but do those really count? We're going to throw them up as a special thanks in the memoriam section. But the run is done. Pokemon Red is finished. And now it is time for us to prepare for Pokemon Crystal.